In this video are some of the most memorable moments of my photography career so far, and it also contains some of the most amazing aurora that you're ever likely to see. Why don't you join me? I said in the last video that I would be possibly coming back down to Haukland with a view to shooting the aurora if it came out. I'm so glad that I spent the time after the light had gone in the last video to weigh up a few compositions, because fortunately for me, got the aurora alert, that's a bit of a mouthful, the aurora alert on my phone earlier, so I knew exactly where I was going to come to basically. So hightailed it down here, got the head torch on, and fortunately enough, I've managed to find the two compositions that I was looking at. Now, for practical reasons, as you can guess, doing any kind of B-roll or anything here's a bit of a nightmare because everything's dark. I'll do my best to talk you through what I've been shooting. So I'll just turn you around and I'll show you if you can see it. Okay, I've no idea if you can make out any of this. I think you can probably only just see my tripod, to be honest. I'll do my best to shine the head torch down here. Now, what I'm looking at is a set of cracks that I was looking at in the last video. Yeah, looking at the back of the camera, you can't see anything. Just give me one moment. Okay, that was a waste of time. Trying to show you a composition in the pitch dark is never going to work. So what I'll do is I'll talk you through what I was shooting there. Now, you'll see from this drone footage from the last video, the area I was working in. It's basically a big crack in this huge slab on the shoreline here, and it zigzags its way towards the peak on the left-hand side of Haukland Bay here. Now, I must say, planning this earlier was massively helpful. I would have hated to try and do this in the dark, and the previous two astro shoots that we've done here, it was the same thing, pre-planning them in the day and then coming to them with the head torch at night. Trying to do this without any planning would be an absolute nightmare. But yeah, I shot quite a few in vertical format to get most of the sky in and try and get most of the aurora in, but I've also shot a few landscape versions as well when the colours were a bit more subdued. But rather than me waffle on, because what I've seen here tonight has been absolutely stunning, and fortunately I've managed to capture some time-lapse footage on the little Pocket 3 here, which I must say has done an absolutely stellar job while the big camera has been taking the stills. So as I say, rather than looking at my ugly face in the dark, I'll play through the sequence of the time-lapse footage that I've shot, and I'll show you some of the stills from this shoot. I hope you like them. After my phone blowing up during the day with aurora alerts, the following evening looked even more promising for another amazing night under the stars. Now, by this point, I'd shot the Aurora 4 times in 5 evenings and had basically turned into a night shift worker again. But, as you can see here, the lure of the green stuff was too much to resist. So off I went again into the night. So, we've arrived at our location. Now, I'm going to kind of talk you through as best I can what I've got planned here in the car before I go out there, because obviously for obvious reasons it's pitch dark and it's going to be very hard to film any B-roll here. But what I've got planned here is shooting a location that myself and Dem actually tried to photograph a couple of days ago at sunrise. We were so close off getting some amazing conditions. We had sea fog rolling in and really lovely cloud. The sun rising off to our right hand side was rising into what we hoped was like a magic slot, and we were going to get lovely side light on the mountains in the distance. But unfortunately, the sun didn't quite make it into that gap in time, and the mist basically completely covered the mountains. We did hang around there for a little while, but we didn't get any joy basically. So I've come back to the same spot, and hopefully I'm going to shoot the Aurora. So what I have found though, doing all this Aurora stuff this trip, it's a real science, isn't it? I'm using this Glendale app, which is my first experience of using this thing, and it's really clunky. I mean, I understand it, but I mean, I'm sure those of you who've shot the Aurora many more times than I have will be familiar with this app. The text messaging service is really good, gives you little alerts to show you, when there's a storm going off and what grade they are and all of that. But it's a really clunky app to use, I find. But anyway, I've been using that tonight. I'm a bit of a Aurora newbie, really, so I'm trying to get to grips with that. But the actual shooting of it, I don't find too bad. So anyway, enough of my talking. Let's get out there. Okay, so bearing in mind this is a little 1-inch Pocket 3 camera. Hopefully this gives you an idea of just how strong the Aurora is. It is unbelievable all the way across the sky. It's really powerful behind me at the minute. Now, what you can't see from over there, you can maybe just make it out. There's a triangular shaped peak over there in the distance. What I'm trying to do is go back to an old composition that I've shot on previous occasions here, and I'm trying to get this Aurora in the shot. Now, at the minute, it's as amazing as this is to watch, it's just slightly too high in my shot. So I'm faced with the sort of dilemma of, do I stick it out and just wait for this Aurora to develop a bit more and hopefully it lands in my shot, or do I adjust my composition and find something with that Aurora in? Now, at the minute, I don't think I'm going to be able to actually get anything that's going to fit this at the moment. So I think for the time being, I'm just going to have to be patient. But what I am going to do is set the Pocket 3 off and get a little time lapse going of this. So hopefully you'll enjoy this. Okay, just as I'm waiting for this, let me just get down here a sec. I have no idea if I'm in focus or not. Right, just as I'm waiting for this Aurora to sort of charge up again. Sorry, the focus is all over the place here. It's not, you can't continuously focus in the dark like this. Now, I really should invest in some sort of spot lamp or something like that for doing these, but well, this isn't an everyday scenario. Yeah, just to talk you through my kind of rookie approach to shooting Aurora. Now, I don't shoot with a 2.8 lens because I don't really do any astro. My advice to anyone doing this, if you're worried about doing Aurora and you haven't got a 2.8 lens, I wouldn't stress it too much. My f4 is doing just fine here. The usual kind of astro approach of focusing on a distant star, wide open f4, and just going with that. The Aurora here is so bright that most of the exposures have been taken around about between 6 and 10 seconds at ISO 3200 and a bit below that if it gets really bright. There's been occasions tonight and on past nights where it's been so bright I've been shooting at like ISO 800, 1600 for a couple of seconds, and it's, you know, the whole foreground's just lit up green basically. So you've just got to experiment a little bit, but it is a little different to shooting the Milky Way, I would say. So yeah, those are my kind of general settings, and what I've been doing is obviously ahead of time trying to prepare these shots as best I can by getting out and scouting them, but also when I've been down here with the head torch, I've been setting up, taking test shots at about, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds using the high ISO, so it's like 51,000 ISO or something like that, just to get an idea of the composition, and then just tweaking it from there basically, because obviously in the pitch dark you haven't got the flexibility to just move your composition freely. So that's been my kind of under pressure approach. It seems to be working all right. Now as I speak, the Aurora is just sort of getting a bit stronger across to my left, and as I say, I've moved my composition a little bit and now trying a portrait version because I think I've exhausted that angle there, so I'm gonna try and get a different version. I'll just spin you around so you can hopefully see it. Now, there we go. Yeah, you can just see it there, and it's gradually moving across the sky. Now I'm just going to wait until it moves more into the center of my frame over there, where you can just see the top of the peak in the distance. So I'm going to grab a few more and see what this one looks like. I'll put it on the screen here. Let me know what you think. Okay folks, I can't quite put into words what I'm seeing here. So I'm not even going to try. This is unbelievable. It is literally everywhere, all across the sky. It's just unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And I'm so glad I stuck at this composition here, because as you can see now, the Aurora is basically dead center above the mountain, and I'm getting some really nice stuff on the back of the camera now. There was a peak moment there which the time lapse got. It's really going off behind me here. You can see, I'll just try and pan up as much as I can here. There we go. It's in a massive spiral. Sorry if this footage is making you a little bit dizzy. I'll just focus on this bit here. Unbelievable. Yeah, it was peaking behind me and off to the right, and I've managed to get it on the time lapse, which you may or may not have already seen. This direction here, I mean, there's no shot for me, unfortunately, in this direction, so I think it's probably better if I just video it and just show you what is going on. I mean, that is just incredible. Absolutely incredible. It's like a giant hook there, and then there was another one before that was almost looked like a musical note. Right. Unbelievable. Yeah, lost for words. Absolutely lost for words. I'm gonna get my head down here and try to concentrate as much as I can. I'll just spin you around so you can see the camera. I don't know if the camera's picking that up or not. Let me just try and focus it. That's the scene I'm shooting, and it is just incredible. So anyway, well, I'm sure you'll understand the slightly ropey nature of this video. This is one of those moments where you've just got to stand and take it all in, to be honest. I'll try my best to fit some video around it, but I think I'm going to put the camera down now, the video camera, and just enjoy this for myself. Wow. Wow. What a shoot. I'm pleased I got that on video. I do apologise if it's a bit ropey. But yeah, what an experience. Absolutely unbelievable. I've had to draw the line there and come back to the car because you can end up out there all night waiting for the Aurora to keep, you know, charging up and then subsiding. I was out there last night shooting the Aurora till about 3 in the morning. I filmed some of that. I've totally lost track of where I am in terms of videoing all of this on this trip, so I do apologise if it's in a bit of a muddle. But yeah, just unbelievable. My first time seeing the Aurora properly, because on last year's trip we got a hint of it on a couple of nights, but nothing even remotely close to that. So it's just been absolutely fantastic. A couple of technical points that I forgot to mention while I was out shooting there. The first thing is, when I was taking those exposures for the sky at about 3200 ISO, about 8 seconds, what I was also doing was taking longer exposures at a lower ISO for the foreground area, just to make it a bit cleaner. And what I'll do is blend them together in post, just to get rid of a bit of the noise, basically. But the second thing, which relates to the first point, is that behind me there was a row of houses with lights on. Now, the lights weren't that bright, but when I was doing those longer exposures for the foreground, it was casting a little bit of ambient light onto the foreground area, so it might be a little bit problematic to clean up in post. But yeah, wow, what an experience. Once I got a couple in the bag there, I had a little bit more freedom to kind of move around. But as I was saying earlier, really tricky to try and compose in those situations. It's why I think I mentioned in the earlier Aurora shoot that to do good astro and Aurora properly, you really need to consider the rest of the picture. It's not just a case of pointing your camera at the Milky Way, or in this case the Aurora, and just being done with it. You've got to build a compelling picture around that, and it's why I don't do it an awful lot. But anyway, I'm gonna go home and get to bed. Unbelievable.